Diesel and I were just loping along the other day, just doing our thing. I was working on a drill, and all of a sudden, we got a flying lead change here at home. Very, very exciting. I've had that on my goal list for, this is probably the third year, definitely the second. So it is very, very exciting, and I can't wait to see how we progress this summer. I was super excited for today's ride. I actually hadn't rode in a couple days. I actually hadn't ridden since the day that I got our flying lead change. So that happened on a Tuesday. Wednesday, I did not ride because I opted to give Diesel a day off. He's been working pretty dang hard and he deserves a day off once a week. So Wednesday was that day. Thursday, I didn't ride, but instead we did some lunging and some groundwork because it was very, 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 very windy here and I did not want to ride in that. So we opted for groundwork. And today's ride is going to be my first day back after doing that flying lead change. Now, it would be very tempting to get into this ride and try to ask for a flying lead change again, see if we can do it again. But I knew that that wasn't a good plan, and instead I decided that for today's ride, I was just going to work on some of the basics and foundational stuff that we've been working on leading up to this flying lead change. Work on those things that are prerequisites for doing a flying lead change. I was not going to ask for a flying lead change. I know better than to get greedy like that when I'm dealing with horses. So we got into the arena and things were all right from the start. I usually start my rides with just doing a bit of walking around just to get our bearings of where we're at for the day. And then I move into usually a jog or a slower trot and then into a lope. And I'll do all of that to one direction and then turn around and go in the other direction. What I noticed fairly early on with this ride is that Diesel just didn't feel quite right. Now, I will say on the average day, Diesel is a little more on the, I don't know if sluggish is the right word, but he just tends to be a bit lazier, a bit quieter, slower. He's never a horse that I would describe as in front of the leg. More often than not, I kind of have to wake him up, get after him because he's behind the leg. Today, he definitely felt behind the leg. And in addition to that, I also felt like he was really, really, really trying to anticipate what I was going to ask of him. And when he anticipates, which he's done this before, when he anticipates, he will tend to move with his head up high. He'll hollow out his back and he kind of wiggles around a little bit. Like he'll push his shoulders one way, then the other way. He might kind of turn his neck a bit to kind of look at me. I don't know if he's trying to stay 2 steps ahead of me and he does a terrible job of it. I appreciate the effort that he's trying to figure out what we're going to do next. And I think he wants to please, that's what he's trying to do. But it's terrible to ride because he's not focusing on what we're doing in the here and now, and is instead worried about what we're doing next. And that is pretty much how our entire ride went today. I had really hoped in this video, when I first set up my camera today, I was hoping to film some of the drills and things that I've been doing building up to the lead change. But that plan went completely out the window with how things went today. One of the things that I try to do when Diesel's feeling a bit, anxious like that is I completely let go of his face. I give him lots of reins. We have a loose rein, and I just ask him to just trot or lope on a loose rein, in just random circles around the arena. I don't really care where he goes.
The only thing I want is for him to keep the gait that we're in and just feel like he's relaxing a bit, putting his head down and just waiting for me to tell him what to do. I tried that today and it did not work. He was still anticipating me. Anytime that I even slightly changed the pressure on my outside leg, he was lifting his head up as if he thought I was going to be asking for a lead change, and it was just kind of a mess. So I decided we were going to just walk on a loose rein for 5 to 10 minutes, and we called it a ride. I ended up riding for about half an hour. I had planned to ride for about 45 minutes, but I figured that extra 15 probably wasn't going to be any better. And to be honest, I was kind of getting a little bit frustrated. So we called it a day at the 30-minute mark. And I'm not going to blame Diesel at all for how that ride went. I think that's very, very easy to do, is just blame the animal. But I'm going to take full responsibility for how our ride went today. I've been doing a lot of work lately to build up to the lead change, and it's a bit more advanced. It's a bit more aggressive, I would say, and I've been doing a lot of it. And I have not been mixing that up with maybe some chiller activities. I haven't been trail riding or anything like that. It's been pretty go, go, go leading up to this lead change. And I think that's probably why he's, feeling a bit anxious with me on his back. He's just anticipating that, almost that stress coming, that he needs to do something and I might be getting after him a little bit to do something harder. And as a result, I get rides like I got today. So I'm going to take full responsibility of that. It is not Diesel's fault. I was pretty frustrated when I got off, but it's very tempting to take it out on the horse, maybe be a bit aggressive with things and just try to force things to work, but that does not work with horses. It just makes the situation worse, which I've learned. And so I just got off, I gave him a pat, loosened the cinch, and took him back to the barn. And then I got him all untacked and let him out into the pasture for the afternoon. It was definitely not the ride that I expected or that I wanted, and I am disappointed, but I think it's kind of a reminder that horses will humble you. They will humble you. And training a horse to do things is a dance between taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. And, hopefully overall you're making progress, but it's definitely not linear progress. And you very much need to remember that. And I definitely needed to be reminded of that. And I was today. And yeah, it keeps you very humble. It keeps you honest. And it keeps you on your toes as well. I think this was a good wake up for me that hey, you can't just be doing the same thing. You can't be drilling the same things every single day on this horse. Some horses can handle that. I'm sure Junior would have been able to handle that. Diesel cannot. He gets a little bit uptight and we end up having rides like we had today. So it was a very good reminder for me, a reminder that I needed, that Diesel is, he's a baby still. He turned 5 here at the end of April. He's still young. He's still definitely learning, and he might be a bit more on the sensitive side. And I just need to be more attuned to that and maybe stay ahead of it a little bit by cycling what I'm working on a bit more often. So not quite the ride that I expected today, especially coming off the high of getting that flying lead change on Tuesday. But definitely all is not lost. Like I said, this was a good learning moment for me, a good reminder for me. And I know that, not all hope is lost. We are still definitely making progress. I think I'm going to take a few days to regroup and see where we go from there. I am starting work with a coach very, very soon, which I'm not sure how that's going to look, but I am very, very excited, and I'm sure they will be very, very helpful in situations like that. So if you haven't already, be sure to follow me everywhere at Strong in the Saddle. And until next time, remember, it's always a good day to ride.